The name Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, often evokes strong reactions.
He's lauded by many for his strong leadership and economic reforms, but he's also a figure at the center of intense scrutiny regarding human rights and democratic principles.
While his government champions progress and a robust economy, a shadow of unanswered questions and persistent criticisms lingers, prompting a deep dive into the mysteries surrounding his tenure.
One of the most persistent concerns revolves around the treatment of religious minorities in India.
Critics and international human rights organizations frequently point to a pattern of discrimination and marginalization.
The question remains, to what extent has the government under Prime Minister Modi actively or passively contributed to the erosion of protections for these communities?
Specifically, when Prime Minister Modi was confronted by journalists at the White House about discrimination against religious minorities, he retorted that such claims were contrary to facts.
However, this was swiftly dismissed by international human rights groups.
This raises a crucial question: what specific evidence do these groups possess that contradicts the Prime Minister's assertion, and why is there such a stark disconnect between the government's narrative and the reports from credible watchdogs?
Furthermore, the issue of freedom of speech in the press has become a major point of contention.
Reports suggest that democratic checks and balances are being weakened, leading to accusations of authoritarian tendencies.
How has the government's approach to information control, often framed as enhancing governance, actually stifled critical voices and dissenting opinions?
There are documented instances where satirical videos critical of the government have been banned.
What are the precise mechanisms and legal justifications used to censor such content, and does this align with the Prime Minister's own stated belief in constructive criticism, which he highlighted when celebrating his massive social media following?
The contradiction between advocating for transparency and allegedly controlling information flow is a deep mystery that begs for resolution.
The economic policies championed by Prime Minister Modi, while aiming for high growth, have also drawn criticism for their impact on the ground.
Despite claims of economic success, how have rising unemployment rates and the increasing cost of essential goods created hardship for the poorest segments of the population, and what is the government's strategy to address this stark reality?
While the government promotes an image of progress, the gap between the lauded economic figures and the lived experiences of many citizens remains a significant puzzle.
A particularly troubling aspect highlighted by the U.S. State Department's human rights reports is the alleged suppression of minorities.
What are the underlying causes and specific manifestations of this truth of minority oppression that the Prime Minister is accused of hiding?
The situation in states like Manipur, where intercommunal violence has resulted in significant loss of life and destruction of property, including churches, points to a deep-seated crisis.
How has the ruling party's support for the state chief minister exacerbated these conflicts, and what specific actions has the central government taken, or failed to take, to prevent such tragedies and ensure justice for the victims?
The scale of the tragedy in Manipur, with over 200 deaths, demands a thorough accounting of how it unfolded in the government's response.
The historical background of Prime Minister Modi and his association with internationalist organizations has also come under intense scrutiny.
How does the political ideology of extremism rooted in the history of these organizations, which have been linked to anti-Muslim riots, influence current government policies towards minority groups?
Critics argue that his personal journey has shaped a leadership style that can be seen as suppressing critical thought.
In what ways has the current leadership fostered an environment where critical scholars face attacks, and how do threats and violence become tools used against intellectual dissent?
This raises profound questions about the very nature of academic freedom and free expression in contemporary India.
The accusation of corruption, despite being elected on a platform of eliminating it, is another area riddled with unanswered questions.
How has a culture of corruption become so pervasive under a government that vowed to eradicate it, leading to frequent large-scale corruption scandals?
The slogan of minimum government, maximum governance appears to be contradicted by the reality of widespread corruption and alleged authoritarian practices, including the suppression of critical news and the persecution of opposition politicians.
What specific systemic failures or policy decisions have allowed such corruption to flourish, and what steps are being taken to truly hold those responsible accountable?
The Prime Minister's rhetoric, particularly during election campaigns, has also been a source of controversy.
What is the true impact of discriminatory remarks, such as referring to Muslims as infiltrators, and how does this divisive language, which aims to fracture voters along religious lines, align with the principles of a secular democracy?
The silence or perceived tacit approval of such statements by the Prime Minister himself is seen by many as a problematic political tactic, directly opposing democratic ideals.
How has this strategy of division, aimed at consolidating power, damaged the reputation of India, the world's largest democracy, both domestically and internationally?
The paradoxical structure of his statements is also frequently exposed.
How do the Prime Minister's words about inclusivity and progress clash with the policies and reported realities that create a harsh environment for minorities?
The alleged lack of consideration for minorities and the resulting human rights violations are severely criticized on the global stage.
Is there a deliberate strategy behind this perceived disconnect, and what are the long-term implications for social cohesion within India and its standing in the global south, where India is positioned as a leader?
The breakdown of religious coexistence due to a strong Hindu supremacist ideology is a serious concern.
How has this ideology, as noted by influential senators, created an environment that is increasingly difficult for minorities, and what are the specific policies that contribute to this situation?
The perception that the Prime Minister's leadership, despite his claims, is characterized by forceful political maneuvering, further fuels these concerns.
How does the government reconcile its stated commitment to democratic principles with these alleged strong-arm tactics?
Ultimately, the mysteries surrounding Prime Minister Modi's India point to a complex interplay of political ambition, ideological underpinnings, and the challenging realities of governing a diverse nation.
The questions about human rights, freedom of expression, economic fairness, and democratic integrity remain open.
What will be the ultimate endgame of this era of strong leadership, and will the legacy be one of progress and inclusivity, or one marked by deeper divisions and eroded freedoms?
The answers to these questions are crucial for understanding the present and shaping the future of this vital global democracy.
The double reality where human rights are allegedly overlooked amidst economic growth is a critical point of analysis.
How does the government plan to address the deep-rooted discontent stemming from economic inequality and the hardships faced by many citizens, which were cited as reasons for a decline in electoral seats for the ruling party?
The true test of Prime Minister Modi's promise of enhanced governance lies in his ability to confront these multifaceted challenges.
What is the real truth behind the call for enhanced governance, and how will it be measured in terms of actual improvements in transparency, accountability, and the protection of all citizens' rights?
The world watches, seeking clarity amidst the lingering questions.